Well, good evening. Welcome to Pastor Michelle's daily bedtime story. Tonight is Sunday, June 14th, and I am proud to share with you my two bedtime stories tonight. But before I do, I just wanted to shout out to all the church members and family of at David's UCC. Today, I just wanted to also, to everyone that's on our family Facebook page, this is going live to that page right now. I wanted to just do a quick reminder. Some of you have already sent me some pictures, but I wanted to just remind you all that this is the month of Pride. And at David's Church, we always march when we're able to. Since I've been at David's, we have been marching in the Pride Parade. We have had a booth at the Pride Festival downtown Dayton. And sadly, because of the virus, because of COVID-19, we weren't able to do that this year. If we were able to, we would be right there. And we would be proudly shouting out, the all-inclusive love of God. But we can still celebrate Pride in our own way. And so that is why I have sent out a challenge to have everyone help me with a project that I'm working on. I want to put together some pictures and then have a song that will go with the pictures as I create a slideshow. And we are going to create just a Pride video. And in the video, I want to feature members of our church, family and members and families and friends of members and whoever, wearing rainbow colors. I'm wearing a rainbow shirt right now, as you can see. And you can, if you don't want to be in the picture, you can also take household items and create a rainbow out of them. I know someone today sent me a picture and they had arranged their cookbooks by their different colors, and it was all rainbow colors. So you can send that kind of stuff to me as well. But it's all about celebrating Pride. It's all about having pictures celebrating the rainbow, having a rainbow in the pictures. Because the rainbow is, as many of you know, it is a symbol. It's a symbol for Pride. And we have been proudly using that. You see rainbow flags flying all over the place at the Dayton Pride every year. And so I thought we would make a fun little video that will feature all these pictures, and there'll be a song that will go with it. And we will show this video on June 28th that's a Sunday. It'll be during a children's moment. So I said a lot of things just to say one thing. I feel like I rambled on a lot about that. But just I invite you to email me or send me a text with the picture, because I would love to. I am looking forward to putting these pictures together into a fun slideshow. So without further ado, I guess one more thing too. If you're not on our family Facebook page yet, I invite you to. We have been using that quite a bit to offer up links for resources, how to speak to your kids, or even resources for anyone who might be interested, and great resources around the topic of race. And I know this is a tough time for us. Not only are we going through a global pandemic, but we are dealing with just everything with racism, and that's still very prevalent in our country, sadly. So these are just weird times, as Pastor Brian said in his sermon today. It's weird. But we can be assured that we do not walk this road alone. We are together as we get through this thing called life, right? So this morning, it is morning, right? This evening, I wanted to share with you two bedtime stories. Our first one is going to be coming from the Beginner's Bible, and it is going to be the story that Pastor Brian talked about today, the story of Abraham and Sarah, when the angels came to visit and they told Sarah that she was going to have a baby. Sarah's really old, and she laughed. And I really enjoyed Pastor Brian's sermon this morning when he talked about it. And so let's start with that story, shall we, my friends? And so let's gather up And let's hear about Abraham and Sarah. Abraham was sitting by his tent. I'm going to do this a different way, okay? So, let me see if I can do this. Hold on a second. I'm going to do something. All right. I want to show you the pictures. All right. So Abraham was sitting by his tent one very hot day. He looked up and saw 3 men standing nearby. He was happy to have visitors. He hurried to them and asked them to stay for dinner. And there is Abraham with his 3 visitors. Trying something different. Then Abraham ran to his tent. "Quick, Sarah," he said, "get some flour and bake some bread. We are having guests for dinner." And there is Sarah, and there is Abraham. Sarah made a good dinner for them. And while they were eating, the men said a very surprising thing. They said, "Next year, you and Sarah will have a baby boy." And there's Sarah. Now this was surprising because Abraham and Sarah did not have any children. And they were too old to have any children. And they were too old to have a baby. Sarah was listening in the tent. She heard what the men said and she laughed. She did not believe them. Then God said, "Why did Sarah laugh? Is anything too hard for the Lord?" And God kept his promise. Even though Abraham and Sarah were old, God gave them a baby boy, and they named him Isaac. All right. So, there you have it, my friends. Our first story, and that was a little bit of what Pastor Brian preached about this morning in his sermon. And it is an important reminder that God does keep his promise, even though things, even now, right now, as things seem kind of out of control. You know, the one promise that I believe that God will always forever keep is God is always going to be with us through the thick and through the thin. And so that's an important thing for us to remember during these days, I think. And so, my friends, we're going to turn to a different type of story, and we're going to hear our Disney story of the night. And our Disney story of the night is going to be centered around the Disney classic Robin Hood. So, let's hear this story. And the story is called The Wrong Shortcut. And there is a picture. All right. So, my friends, it is a double featured night. So here's our second story. It was summertime in Sherwood Forest. Birds were singing, bees were buzzing, and wildflowers covered the fields. The day was so beautiful that Robin Hood and Little John went into the woods to pick berries. Maid Marian came along too. "The sweetest berries can be found on the other side of the creek," Little John declared, "and I know how to get there." A little while later, the 3 reached the creek. It was wide and deep. A rickety bridge went over the water. Little John stepped onto the bridge. The wood groaned under his weight. Little John took each step carefully, but in the end it didn't matter. Halfway across the bridge, a board broke under his feet. Little John landed in the creek with a big splash. Sputtering, he swam to the other shore. "I made it across," he called. "But you weren't supposed to get wet," called Robin, laughing. "Luckily, I'm more clever than you. I can cross the bridge and stay dry too." "Oh, Robin, let me do it," said Marian. "I'm sure I can cross without falling into the water." But Robin Hood just shook his head. "It's too dangerous," he said. "Don't worry, I'm too clever to fall into the creek." Very carefully, Robin stepped onto the bridge. He tested each plank before he put his foot on it. But before he reached the other side, there was a loud crack. Robin broke through the bridge and plunged into the cold water. Shivering, he swam to the other side. "The bridge is far too dangerous," Robin called to Marian. "Don't cross. You'll only fall into the water." But Marian just smiled. Cautiously, she tiptoed her way onto the bridge. Since she was lighter than Robin and Little John, she made it all the way to the other side without getting a drop of water on her dress. "How did you do that?" Robin asked later as they danced. Maid Marian smiled. "Bigger and stronger doesn't always work better," she said. "Sometimes you need a Marian to do a merry man's job. All right. So there you have it. A woman showing up, all the men trying to do something. No, I'm just kidding. A fun little story, right? And so, my friends, I wish you all a very well week, and I hope all of you are staying as safe and as healthy as you can possibly be during these times. And whenever we have good weather, I hope you get out and enjoy it. And may God's love be with all of you. God bless you all. Take care.